screen and also the magic occurring behind the scenes as film and television become more inventive, sophisticated, and influential over the years. The level of historical detail is fascinating and often reveals surprising insights. I hope all listeners interested in any aspect of witchcraft will appreciate the enormous impact that film and television representations have had on our understanding and reception of the witch and the culture, communities, and stories that surround her. Greene's deeply thoughtful history of the witch in American film and television is also on some level a powerful and loving examination of American history itself. This book shows us all the wondrous things the witch, whose presence has imbued American culture for centuries with magic and knowledge, power and wisdom, fear and fantasy, can ultimately teach us about ourselves. Peg Alloy, film and TV critic, media studies scholar. A Woman Unleashed. An Introduction. The word witch and what it evokes is complicated, but yet it seems so simple. The witch is a woman with a black hat, green skin, and a broom. She is a deviant mistress of the dark arts. She understands how to work with herbs and roots, and she eats children for supper. The witch owns crystals, books, beads, and a black cat. She dances under the moon and cackles while stirring her brew. She is the seducer of husbands and the consort of Satan. She worships the great goddess and loves nature. She wears a lace bonnet to church, breaks glass with her mind, and serves moose with tannis root. We know who she is. We recognize her. As a child, I adored the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM classic film The Wizard of Oz, 1939. I looked forward to watching it every year when CBS aired the movie on Halloween. I was particularly fascinated with and simultaneously terrified by Margaret Hamilton's portrayal of the Wicked Witch of the West. I loved her loud cackle and how her cape flew as she spun dramatically in the orange-colored smoke. Over the years, as I became increasingly interested in the occult and reality-based witchcraft, I never abandoned my childhood love of that film. To this day, after years of film scholarship and occult study, I still credit The Wizard of Oz as my favorite movie of all time. While the film as a whole is undoubtedly one of Hollywood's gems, it is the Wicked Witch who ultimately stood out for me. She triggered something that I understood on a deeper level, something inspirational. Although clearly the antagonist, this green-skinned woman in her jet-black dress, depicts someone who commands her own power. She is a woman unleashed, a nonconformist, and a rebel. Within fictional narratives, the witch is, at her most basic, a woman who lives in the space society has chosen to abandon. She practices the crafts that her community marks as unacceptable or that religion defines as sinful. She is the adolescent girl discovering her sexuality, the woman who commands it, and the crone who no longer needs it but still understands it. That is the witch. She is all of those things and more. At her very essence, she is the woman who knows too much about society, about life, and about herself. She is both the oppressed and the empowered. In the introduction of her book, The Witch in History, Diane Purkis writes, I argue that the witch is not solely or simply the creation of patriarchy, but that women also invested heavily in the figure as a fantasy which allowed them to express and manage otherwise unspeakable fears and desires, centering on the question of motherhood and children. Purkis's statement hits on one of the central reasons I began this study. The witch archetype exists in two modes, one of oppression and one of empowerment. How is it possible that one single cultural construct can contain two strikingly different and seemingly opposed central meanings? Moreover, when and how does this meaning shift, and how does it affect narrative presentations? In her book, A Skin for Dancing In, Possession, Witchcraft, and Voodoo in Film, Tanya Kravinska observes the same point, saying, The figure of the female witch has commonly been seen in critical works on the horror film as a product of male fantasies. Little consideration has been given to the idea that the cinematic witch is likely to appeal to a different set of fantasies.